Welcome to the Thornton Review, the show designed with you in mind. If it's important to you, it's important to us. Hi, I'm Pueschel Schneier, executive producer and manager of the Thornton Review. Thank you for tuning in. Our guest on today's show is Dale Perkins. He is an ECUA board member, Emerald Coast Utilities Authority, board member representing District 4. He's been on the board since 1994.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. I'm going to let him introduce himself. Dale, it is so nice to have you on the show.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me. My name is Dale Perkins. I'm the ECUA board member for District 4. I was first elected in 1994. Went to college at UWF and met Dr. Larry Walker and helped him in his first campaign for ECUA in 1988.
Oh, that's awesome.
And then the ECUA was having some difficulty in the early 90s, and he convinced me to run. I was probably the least qualified candidate, but I did end up winning and have been there ever since.
Well, congratulations. You probably weren't the least qualified. Anyway, considering your background and your college and everything, but we're going to get into that.
Okay.
So we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll begin our discussion with Dale Perkins, ECUA District 4. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Dale Perkins was born at Portsmouth Naval Hospital in 1962. He graduated from high school in 1980 in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He attended PJC, University of West Florida, and Florida State University. While attending UWF, Dale was elected student government president during the 1986-87 school year. Dale earned his master's degree in clinical social work and applied politics. Early in his career, he worked for the Eckerd Family Youth Alternatives as a wildlife camp counselor. Dale has worked as a fishing charter boat captain since 1997. He has also worked as an addiction counselor and as a military and family life counselor under his clinical social work license. Dale was first elected to the ECUA Board in 1994 and has never missed an ECUA Board meeting. After serving 32 years, he will not be seeking re-election. In November 2026, he will turn the reins over as District 4 board member to a newly elected representative. Thank you for tuning in. We're going to begin our discussion with Dale Perkins, ECUA District 4. I just have to say it again. So, Dale, thank you for coming on the show. We've been doing the show now for like over 3 years, and I should have had you on way before now, but I really appreciate you carving some time out of your schedule to come and sit down and have a conversation with me.
My pleasure. It's glad to be here.
So, we've known each other since about 1998. I was a kid. Someone had told me that they're planning on putting fluoride in the water, and they were against it, and so I was like, I'm against that too. I don't understand why anybody would want to put anything in our water that's not, and that doesn't have anything to do with water quality or, natural water, H2O. I agree with taking impurities out of the water, but and I know that we need something to balance the pH, and we need something to kill the bacteria. I mean, that's a given. We have to have that. That has to be safe and clean drinking water. I didn't understand the fluoride. So that was my first political involvement in 1998. That's when you and I first met. I would go to the ECUA board meetings and speak against fluoride. And you and I were actually on the news. I don't know if you remember, but Channel 3 News, I was so outspoken about it. Channel 3 News called me. I had no idea that they even knew about me, but they called me and they asked if they could interview me. And they came to my house and interviewed me on my front porch. And I explained all the reasons I didn't want fluoride in the water. And then I watched it on the news that night. And after I spoke, they had you on. They went to your house and interviewed you. So they pitted us against each other. I was the con. I explained all the cons. You explained all the pros.
Yeah.
So what do you think about fluoride now? I mean, has anything changed? Has your thinking changed regarding it?
You do a lot of things, but honestly, so I think that's one of the best things we ever did at ECUA. But some things have changed. You have to realize that was back in the 1900s, and the world was a lot different then. I mean, most people were not on the internet, could not look up stuff. There's no chat GPT. The area was, when I first got elected in 94, was all Democrats. I mean, the only Republican was Tom Banjanin, and he was a state legislator at the time. And so it was just a whole different...
I went to church with him, by the way. Yeah, so I knew him.
It's good. So it was just a whole different environment. So I'm glad that we piqued your interest and got you involved, and now you're a political institution, been involved forever in the area and helped the community, served on our CAC and all that. So back then, there's a lot less information about dental health and some things we have to put in the water, chlorine, for example, to make sure there's not bacteria in there that will make people sick.
There has to be something to kill the bacteria. We can't have bacteria in the water, but is chlorine actually the best choice?
Well, that's what everybody uses. I mean, so I guess it is. So when the fluoride issue,
I wonder if you could use hydrogen peroxide. I wonder if there's just anything else that's less bad for you.
Well,
I mean,
it's the chlorine is in such small amounts that it's good. Like they tell you, if you're ever in a survival situation and you don't have access to clean water, put a couple of drops of bleach per gallon, just a couple of drops, but that will make it safe for you.
Sure.
So when the fluoride thing came up, people had been wanting it, had been asking us to do it. The American Dental Association, American Pediatric Association, the American Medical Association, all recommended it, said it was one of the best things of the 20th centuries for public health, prevented not only cavities and teeth decay, but a lot of things that went with it. And so I'm no doctor, I'm no dentist, and so a lot of these situations, I seek the advice of the the people with professional expertise on it. So we did that, and we put it to the people. The people had been clamoring for it, and so they had a referenda on it. 58% of the people wanted it, and so we did it.
And that was 1998.
Right.
That was when I was involved.
Right. So back in the 90s, and so it was there up until last year. Well, things were quite different in 2025 than 1998. There's a lot more access to information.
There's a lot more access to toothbrushes
and fluoride and toothpaste and ways to get it if you want it, And I've always had kind of that independent streak that less government and limited government is better anyways.
Yeah.
And so it came around. The legislature got involved here and said, hey, let's take the fluoride out of the water. Excuse me. And I was not inclined to oppose that at this point, and so it was removed last year. And so when it happened, people were saying, children are going to die and birds are going to fall from the sky, and then when
they put it in, the people against it were saying that,
and then when we were taking it out, the other side was saying, we're going to have a horrible outbreak of teeth decay and everything like that. So I think each side tends to get emotional and exaggerate things.
I think it
Sometimes,
boils
but-
down to personal accountability.
Yeah.
I think that if you eat a proper diet and, raising your kids, don't let them eat junk all the time. Don't feed them junk. Don't allow them to eat it. Drink water, don't drink fruit juice. That stuff's full of sugar. You don't need it. Eat the fruit, but don't drink the juice. But brush your teeth. Teach your children how to brush their teeth. And that's probably where they're going wrong, is they're not teaching their kids to brush their teeth, and so then they have cavities. My parents taught me to brush my teeth, but I wasn't doing it properly, and I had cavities. I taught my son how to brush his teeth. He's never had a cavity. Because I made sure he was brushing his teeth.
It makes a huge difference. And
but
unfortunately, everybody's not as responsible parenting wise as we would
and
like.
it's not up to the government to nanny the children, or to decide that this small group needs fluoride. They need help in this way, so we're going to make everybody have the same help. That was my stance. Is it's not up to the government to decide what medications we need.
So that issue's over and done with, and
thank goodness. I'm so happy.
So now ECUA this year will have an open seat in District 4. I'm not running for re-election. So District 4 is basically Pensacola Beach, all the east side of town from about the 17th Avenue Trestle on up, back to about Davis Highway, all the way up to Scenic Highway and 9 Mile Road. So the whole east side of town.
Is it the largest district? I think
I think District 5 has more land mass. They all have similar populations.
Okay.
But I think District 5 has the most land mass.
So it's actually Hofberger's
county the same as the school board and the county commission districts. Now, like I was saying back then when I got elected in 94, I ran as a Republican, and a lot of people were like, the area was turning. I mean, 94 was Newt Gingrich and the kind of Republican resurgence, and so after that the area slowly turned more Republican. It wasn't so back then; they were conservative Democrats. And it wasn't so much that people were leaving the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party was leaving the people. They were getting more and more liberal around here, and kind of more extreme positions, and people just switching. So now it's widely a conservative area.
Yes.
I mean, it's always been conservative, but it's mostly Republican now. And so, the seat this time, if I were running, I would run as a Republican. People are out there thinking about it, but I am a little bit worried about the midterms. I mean, in the past, the Republicans were for limited government, low government, less government, less taxes, less spending, more freedom. Basically, is what it is, and they were against, national. They thought local control was better, and so now we see at the state level, the state, taking power from local officials, the feds taking power from state officials, talking about nationalizing elections, the feds controlling all of that, and the right to bear arms. There's been some concerns about, I would never think that Republicans would be,
wanting
to go against the Second Amendment, but you worry about that, freedom of speech, freedom against government search and seizure.
The reason why anybody would go against that is because it's been so abused. That amendment has been abused by so many people, and so it's, it makes you.
But I am worried about it. I am, for people who've always been strong Second Amendment supporters and stuff. I'm worried about the Republicans in the midterms, and I think we need to stick to conservative values that we've had over time, and hopefully that.
I appreciate that about you.
And so hopefully that won't change. But as far as just like, so I would encourage people, if you're thinking about running for ECUA, do it. I mean, a lot of people thought I had no chance when I ran, and we need people who are genuine and honest and represent the people, not big special interests. Money has a corrupting influence on a lot of elections, and so we have to worry about that. So I always appreciated people like you serving on the Citizens Advisory Committee, coming out and helping guide us. And
that was a great time in my life.
And you learn a lot, I mean, it's very helpful, and you give a lot of great input. And I, you know, I hate to say it, but
I think you nominated me once.
yeah, I did.
For one of the years, yeah.
Yeah. But I first got on the board, you know, it took me a couple of years to learn what was actually going on. It's a lot more complicated. I mean, water, sewer, and sanitation seems pretty simple, and the best news is no news.
It seems simple when you're not thinking about it, and nobody's explaining it to you.
Yeah.
So the reason I got on the Citizens Advisory Committee is because my house flooded in 2014.
Yeah.
And after that, ECUA built that emergency sewage tank. Is that what it is?
Emergency storage tank.
Storage tank.
So what that is there's a massive line that goes all the way up to Cantonment. It's like huge, like 16 feet, like a huge line of sewage, all going uphill.
It's going to be pumped north.
Right. So if we had a loss of power from a hurricane or a break in that line, all of that would come right down to your floor because you're the lowest point.
Yeah.
So it would come, and that line would come right down here. And so this was not in the original plans. And I had talked with our executive director, Steve Sorrell, at the time. I said, look, if that line ever has a failure, what happens to downtown? And he's like, well, all of downtown is going to be flooded in sewage.
Yeah.
And I said, that's really not acceptable. Can we have some sort of contingency plan?
So the plan had been in the works for quite a few years before y'all even executed it. Mm-hmm. But so I had a meeting with Steve Sorrell because I had posted on Facebook, you know, where could we move it? So I made this post. I wasn't serious. I wasn't trying to push anything. Yeah. But I said we should put ECUA back into the county commission control. Well, Jeff Burgosh and Doug Underhill both responded to that and said we don't want it. Doug Underhill called me and he said, why do you say that? And I said, well, they're putting this emergency sewage tank, you know, just 10 blocks north of my house, and I don't want it there. I didn't know anything. I didn't think I wanted it there. I had no idea.
And a lot of people thought that it was going to be used all the time and full of sewage and be stinking. But we haven't used it since.
I didn't think that. I didn't know. Yeah. I just knew I didn't want it there. I thought I didn't want it there. Yeah. So Doug Underhill and I had a private meeting with Steve Sorrell, and Jonathan Owens was also there. He was an aide for Doug Underhill. Yeah. And I walked into the room, and Doug and Jonathan were already there, and Steve was sitting on. I sat next to Steve, and he had this huge map on that huge conference table upstairs, at the ECUA board meetings, and I said, or maybe Doug said it. He told Steve. He said, the reason we're here is because I've got some land about 7 miles north of where you want to put it, and the county could just donate the land to ECUA and put it there. Steve. I could tell he was mad, but he said, it can't be done. Yeah. He exclaimed, it can't be done.
He's an engineer, so that's probably why he was.
He'd had so many people, saying that he doesn't want it. He'd had enough of that. Yeah. And I understood right then and there that he knew it couldn't be anywhere else. And he explained to us why. Yeah. And it was so logical. You know, you can't be emotional about it. You have to have logic. Yeah. Because if you're emotional about it, it's not going to solve the problem. He explained it. He explained why it was there. He explained all the pipe system. And I was so intrigued. I couldn't believe it. I was like, because you never think about it.
You don't.
But he explained all the pumps and all the wells and just everything and the reason why it had to be there. And it just made so much sense. And so, I was like, okay, it has to be there. So then I completely changed my stance. And I had a lot of people in North Hill really mad at me.
They were pretty upset. You know why the county or the city don't want ECUA back under them?
Why?
The reason.
Because that's a lot.
Well, the reason is
it's too much.
As inflation goes up every single year, the ECUA has to address rates to at least keep pace with inflation, to keep things up. So every year, now we haven't had a rate increase every year, but every year if you don't have some sort of rate increase, you're losing ground and you're going kind of in the hole and can't keep up with expenses. With the city and the county, as the property values increase, they get automatic increases in revenue every year. So part of the reason that ECUA was created was that the infrastructure was failing, because they didn't want to have to do those increases, and so originally put it over to ECUA. But for someone thinking about running for ECUA, when I ran for it, I considered it a terminal degree. Like, I am not looking to go to higher office from ECUA, and the reason is because
it wasn't a stepping stone.
No, the reason is it's more of a stumbling stone than a stepping stone because it's a pretty unpopular position. You have to increase people's rates you know, at times. They get bills every month from you they have to pay, you know, so it's not something people are happy about, you know, being a, you know, just ECUA in general. So it's not, it's good if you want to do public service and help people. For me, one of the best things about the position is that people call me with a problem, I can get it resolved. I can get it resolved for them right away usually, and it doesn't matter whether they're from my district or not, Republican or Democrat, rich or poor.
Right.
You know, I try to help whoever
ECUA
calls
should be
me.
nonpartisan because I have no idea why it's a Democrat or Republican seat
Well,
because
originally,
clean water is not.
yeah, originally it was nonpartisan, and when the area became Republican, you know, they switched it. Some of the legislators
I
switched
don't
it
understand why. I
because
don't really.
it gave them an advantage. It gave a political advantage to the Republicans.
So,
But
so after that meeting with Steve Sorrell,
Mhm.
I asked if I could go on tours. So I went to the Central Water Reclamation Facility, the Materials Recycling Facility, and the Compost Facility. And then later on, I went on more tours. I've been on 3 tours of the Central Water Reclamation Facility because every time you go there, you learn something different.
Yeah.
You're not going to learn everything quickly. It's just too much to learn.
yeah.
And then the testing lab
Mhm.
and something else.
Did you ever tour sanitation or the
Yeah.
MRF?
Oh yeah, twice, 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's good.
Mhm.
Recycling facility,
Yeah.
composting area.
Yes, 2 or 3 times, because you don't go to the MRF and not go to the
Right.
or no, you don't go to the Central Water Reclamation Facility without going to the compost.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing I really like that you as a citizen advisory committee member and other members do as well is actually get involved and go see what's going on and learn and have that hands-on experience. It makes you a much more effective member that way, you know. So,
Yeah. So, in order to be elected to the position, you don't have to do all that. You just have to be electable, and that's
Right.
what's kind of a downside of elections.
Yeah.
Is you get the right person in there whose heart is in it and who wants to learn and who wants to know what's going on and understands the water
Mhm.
utility and understands the recycling and the Central Water Reclamation Facility and the testing. The testing lab is a very important.
Yeah. Well,
Because
even
they're
the
the
well
ones-
houses, you know, the well houses are a lot
Yeah.
more complicated than people think, you know.
I went to the top of that emergency tank.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh my gosh, I've
Yes.
never been up
I
there.
was joking because I was on a tour.
Did you get any pictures from up there?
Yeah, of course.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I was joking. I was with Piscopo.
Yeah, Jerry Piscopo.
Jerry Piscopo.
Hmm.
He's a character I like.
Yeah,
so
he
much.
is.
So I said, "So when are you going to take me to the top of that?" And I was joking,
Mhm.
and so we were talking about. He finished telling me about the well, or
Mhm.
you know, the pump. It was a
Yeah.
pump, and we walked outside, and I was just following him,
Mhm.
and I didn't know where we were going. I was just following him, and we started climbing that ladder to the top. It was me and like 5 other people. That was fun.
That's awesome.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
That was a good day.
So when I first ran, I was not that qualified about utilities, not experienced. I handed out these little jar openers that said elect Dale Perkins, and the elderly people love them because it makes it easier to open the jars. And I've handed those out every election since, and I've still got 6,000 or 8,000 that I need to give away, but I need to make sure that I'm not violating any campaign laws. I'm not campaigning,
Right.
you know, and so I've got to check with the
You can give them
supervisor's
to
office.
guests that come on the Thornton review.
Yeah, I'll give you a bunch of them. I've got. I'm not running or anything, but
I'd like to
I
have
would like,
one, just
yeah, I would like
every
people
year.
to have them to open.
Yeah.
I've only just given them out of my district, so some of the other districts, I'd like people to have them just so they
Mhm.
can use them. But
So ECUA, I was there on the first year that I asked to be nominated on the Citizens Advisory Committee, I didn't get nominated. There wasn't an open seat.
yeah,
There was no place to put me.
yeah,
So, but I went to every Citizens Advisory Committee meeting
Yeah.
and every board meeting for
Yeah.
that entire year. And I went on all of those tours. And then the next year, I think it was Vicki Campbell who nominated
Yeah.
me on the Citizens Advisory Committee. And there still wasn't an open seat. But one of the people who had been on the board had not, they had not attended the meetings. I think they missed more than the
yeah,
amount of meetings that they could have. They didn't like put
Right.
in the resignation or anything. They just quit going to the meetings for whatever reason. They probably
Yeah.
had a reason.
On the CAC, if you miss 3 meetings, you're up. You're off.
Yeah.
3 meetings.
So So I was appointed and nominated and appointed to the at-large position.
Yeah.
So I was down on the end, and I was happy with that. Even though I wasn't representing my district, I was just kind of representing the entire county, which is amazing, which is good. And the thing I did not like about being on the Citizens Advisory Committee is the Sunshine Law.
Yeah.
Because I learned so much. I was calling Vicki all the time,
Yeah.
Dr. Walker. I was able to call people and talk to them about things. And then when I got appointed, I couldn't do that anymore. Vicki and I still did a lot together. We went to Rotary meeting and we went and saw Rick Scott together. We would do things together, but obviously we couldn't talk about what we were voting on. We didn't. Yeah. Because Vicki's very
we're all hypersensitive about that.
Yeah, she was.
So that is a disadvantage when people serve on the Citizens Advisory Committee. You can no longer communicate about ECUA issues, not only with the board members, but even the other Citizens Advisory Committee
because you learn so much from each other. It's that was the only downfall. So, but I was there when Bruce Woody was appointed. Steve Sorrell resigned. The attorney resigned. Something happened there, and got his contract was not renewed. Right. Because the ECUA board decided not to for reasons. And I was part of the process to get Bruce Woody. And I thought he was the best one to begin with. But the board...
Originally, we chose a woman from Atlanta.
Her husband decided not to move.
Yeah, they ended up... She ended up not taking it. And then we, re-interviewed everybody again. And thankfully, Mr. Woody applied again, and he's been grateful.
He's been great.
He has been great.
He's been on the show twice.
Yeah. Oh, has he really?
Yeah. But I was there the first time he was interviewed, and then I was there the second time he was interviewed, and I think the second time he was interviewed was when I actually met Charles Thornton for them. I knew who Charles was. Yeah. But he was there. We had both, Elvin McCorvey passed away representing District 3. Yes. And I live in District 3. Charles lives in District 3. And we both had put in our application to the governor to be appointed. Yeah, a governor appointment to District 3.
There were quite a few people ran for that seat.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A bunch.
Yeah. But I'm a Republican in a 70% Democrat district.
It's hard to win as a Republican.
I knew I wasn't going to get it because the governor is going to say, "Nah, I can't. I just can't do that." Yeah. And but anyway, that's how I met Charles. He was sitting in there because we wanted to meet the candidates for the executive producer, the executive director position, and I saw Charles sitting there. I knew who he was. I know he was a political rival because I knew we were both going for District 3. And I pulled up a chair and I sat down right beside him and I introduced myself and I told him I knew who he was. And we talked and we got along, just like we already knew each other. We were talking to each other about things, about ECUA mainly. And we exchanged phone numbers. And then after that, we saw each other at different events and different like Rotary and whatever. We saw each other. And then in September of 2022, he called me. And he asked me if I'd ever heard of the Thornton Review. He used to do a podcast called the Thornton Review, and he told me about it, and he emailed me some samples of it, and I pulled it up online and looked at it. He said he was interested in getting his little podcast, his show, started again, and he needed help. And he called me and asked me to help him do that. And I had no idea what capacity he wanted me to help him in. No idea whatsoever. But we had a meeting at Denny's on Davis Highway. That's where we always meet. It's closed now, so we're not meeting there anymore. But that was our meeting place with Vernon Watson of WBQP TV. And because he was the person, when we very first started doing the show, we were doing it live. We were on Zoom, but Zoom to the TV station. There's an actual TV station here in town. And he was blasting it out on TV as we're doing it live. So we were interviewing people. We're having a great time interviewing it live, but we were out there in the front office doing it, sitting shoulder to shoulder, looking at my laptop, doing it with headphones on. We've evolved.
Yeah, it's a great studio.
We have hired professionals. We have a photographer. We have a guy from UWF who has a degree in video production, movie production, and so you see that we've evolved, and it's all because of Charles Thornton. He had this idea. He called me, and boy, I just ran with it.
That's
awesome. The time of my life.
Hopefully, you guys will be part of. We're hiring a new executive director, so we're going through that process again, and so hopefully, you guys will cover some of that because it's really important who you choose as your executive director. Now, some government entities will have them in and out and come and go and change every 2 or 3 years. Ours is a pretty stable position. Yeah. I mean, since I was elected,
the contract if he's doing a good job, he stays until he's ready to retire.
Since I was elected in '94, we've had Van Vandiver, Steve Sorrell, and Bruce Woody. So that's a pretty long time for three directors.
Steve Sorrell was there for over 20 years or 17 years or
I
something
think
like
it's
that.
like 18, 17 or 18
Yeah.
years. He was there a pretty good while, but it's an important position because they handle all the day-to-day operations of the utility.
Mhm.
Us as board members are prohibited by law from getting involved with, say, telling a garbage, go pick this up, or
Mhm.
from supervising employees or telling them what to do. So we have to go through the executive director. So it's real important that we have somebody that's responsive, to the people's needs as executive director. So that's one of the biggest decisions we'll make. Of course, the one of the biggest ones for this area was moving the Main Street sewage treatment plant from downtown, where it's at risk for hurricanes and stuff. And
That was in 2004.
Hurricane
I
Ivan taught us a
want
lot
to talk
about that.
about that.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, but we need to take a commercial break.
Okay.
So I want to remind our viewers that the Thornton Review is a civic engagement show with a purpose to spread awareness by interviewing local elected officials, candidates, and professional leaders. This is information you won't get anywhere else. You can watch the Thornton Review on our various outlets. Our website at thethorntonreview.com. On Vimeo, please follow the Thornton Review. On YouTube is the most important one. We're asking you to please subscribe to the Thornton Review at the Thornton Review 7810. When you go to YouTube, type in the Thornton Review 7810. You can find us. Please subscribe, click on a video, and please click on that notification bell. On Facebook, the Thornton Review Show. On TV, WBQP Channel 12 and WBQP on Roku and Fire Stick. And we're going to take a commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Dale Perkins, ECUA District 3. There is no government-funded program that can guide a man's thoughts. Only God can do that. Company can install any type of fence. When you call and mention the Thornton Review, you'll receive a $100 discount on your fence. They also offer military discounts. Vinyl fence, wood fence, aluminum fence, chain link fence. If it has the word fence, Alpha Fence Company can do it. 850-586-8020. 850-586-8020. Thank you for tuning in. We're back with our discussion with Dale Perkins, ECUA District 4. And we're going to talk about the Central Water Reclamation Facility. It used to be downtown across from where Mariner Park is. So we've got Mariner Park, and then that big vacant property across the street is where it used to be.
Yeah.
And I remember that. I never went down there. There's no reason for me to go down there. But I knew it was there, and I knew it had a nickname. And Hurricane Ivan destroyed it. So
Well, we
damaged
had
it beyond
back up
repair.
and running.
And it was already old.
Yeah, it's already old. But we were at risk in the lowest part of town, right on the water, and
Yeah.
more importantly, in your downtown core area, where business and
Right.
entertainment's supposed to thrive, and
If that overflows, it's going straight into the bay. So
and on people's streets and houses and porches and stuff. And the thing is that Pensacola's downtown was not vibrant back then. That thing, they called it Old Stinky because there was an odor that came from having a massive sewage treatment plant right in the middle of downtown. And the Maritime Park would have never been able to be there. People are not going to watch a ball game trying to eat a hot dog smelling sewage while they're trying to eat the hot dog. So moving it was not only physically responsible, it was economically responsible.
So that was 2004.
Yeah.
That was the year my son was born. He was born in July of 2004, and then Hurricane Ivan hit on July like 13th or 14th, I think 14th. September. I'm sorry.
Yeah, September.
September 14th. So my son was 2 months old.
Oh my gosh.
And So Hurricane Ivan came into the Gulf, and then it went over the state of Florida through Jacksonville, and it went down the Atlantic, down the tip of Florida, back into the Gulf.
Yeah.
And and I was watching the Weather Channel because I had nothing to do but lay in bed with my baby all day and watch TV. I was doing more than that, but that hurricane took up the entire Gulf. On the Doppler radar, you could see it.
Yes, it was massive.
And they were saying it's a hurricane, Category 4. It's going to hit Pensacola. And I'm looking at my baby, and I'm like, I decided not to evacuate from hurricanes.
Now you didn't live here then, did you?
Yes.
Lived up on the. Oh, you lived here.
I lived here.
This is a real low-lying area too, so it must have been frightening.
We had no damage.
Yeah, that's great.
But we evacuated. I said, I'm not staying here for that. I said, it's going to look like a nuclear bomb went off. There's not going to be any houses left after this. I'm not going to stay here with this baby.
Yeah.
So I called my aunt up in Tennessee, who has this really super nice A-frame, beautiful A-frame cabin. It's probably, built in the 40s or 50s. But it has the electricity and water. It's like a house.
Yeah.
But it's an A-frame cabin on this beautiful little lake in the woods in the middle of nowhere in Tennessee.
Wow.
And she said, come on up, stay as long as you want. So packed the baby up. My husband and I went up there, and we ended up staying for 3 weeks because that's how long the electricity and water was out. And I wasn't going to head back in the sweltering heat with a baby with no electricity, no water, even though there was no damage to my house.
Yeah.
And usually downtown is the first to get electricity and water back, but it was 3 weeks. That means the rest of Pensacola was longer, like months.
Right.
Some of it took months.
Yeah.
But when we came back, there are no trees. I mean, the trees, there are no leaves on any of the existing trees.
It looked like a war zone right after the hurricane, yeah.
Every single roof, 99% of roofs had blue tarps on them for years after. It was devastating to see. And, I just had this baby. So, it was quite a traumatic experience, going through all of that, but my focus was on my child. Yeah. So I wasn't focusing on, and plus my house didn't have any damage, so I was okay.
And at that point, ECUA, there were some early visionaries who had talked about moving the plant. The cost seemed astronomical, and the ratepayers would have been just completely hammered. Well, the hurricane gave us a good push forward, not only in the local people realizing, hey, this is something we really needed to do, but it opened up funding opportunities. And so we were able to get massive federal funding for it, and took most of that off of the local citizens. There's been an extra charge on the bills for about $5, I think, or so for years for that, but it's about to be paid off, and so it was just things. And the thing came in ahead of schedule and under budget. It was the most expensive project in this area at the time.
And state of the art. It's like
it is really fantastic.
State of the art, newest technology, and they made it bigger than what the population was at the time for a growing population. But the population has grown in the last 20 years. I mean, the population has probably almost doubled.
And the new plant is designed to be expandable, so as population grows even more, we'll be able to do it. Treats it to real high quality standards, completely out of any hurricane threat area. So it's been a real good thing.
It's been a blessing to the community, that's for sure. Yeah. But people don't understand. They probably don't want to understand. Because if you're not thinking about it, if you don't have a reason why. But the piping system and the pumps and the wells, everything that goes into it, all the technology.
Well,
it's amazing.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that's one of our biggest issues. Is there are areas in downtown Pensacola, around Palafox and stuff, where some of the water lines that we replaced or dug up were just wood lines with connectors on them and hollowed out wood, coated in creosote, that we replaced. So we've got a lot of antiquated lines, all over the area.
And some of them are cast iron probably, and of course that's going to rust and go away.
And then over time those have to be replaced, but you don't get any additional revenue. You just have to replace those. So upkeep of our existing systems, keeping everything updated is a big challenge.
And that's in the capital improvement plan.
Yeah, capital improvement budget. We budget for that each year, and so taking care of antiquated water and sewer lines is a big issue.
Are we having? I'm sorry to change the subject back to Mr. Woody, but are we having a retirement party for him?
I'm sure there will be something. I mean, going to be around to at least May, but I'm sure there will be some sort of
I wonder if
thing
he's
the
going to
public
stay
will
in
be
the
invited.
area or if he's going to move back
No,
home.
he has
He's
bought a
moving back home.
piece of property up in Missouri where he's from.
Yeah.
It used to be an old YMCA camp,
Oh, wow.
and it's a beautiful piece of property with a big building on it. He's converted into a home, but his family's all from there, and he
Good for him.
wants to spend time with his
Oh,
grandchildren
that's
and
going
his
to be
family. So.
amazing. Yeah, I'm happy
Yeah,
for him.
he's earned it. I mean, you work hard all your life, and you want to.
He's
you know,
been great.
Sometimes people, I've been ill, got a bad diagnosis, shorter life expectancy than I would have appreciated. And I've worked really hard all my life and put a lot of emphasis on work. And when you get in a situation like this, you realize that family and relationships and people are more important. And so I've been focusing on that. So I am glad that he's doing that, while he's still healthy. Because a lot of times we get so hyper-focused on work or something like that that we will,
Are you a candidate for a lung transplant? Have you checked into that?
No,
I know somebody. I have a really good friend that I grew up with who had a lung
I
transplant.
have mesothelioma, so it's all around the lung, but unfortunately it's stage 4 and it's spread to other organs, so, to other areas. So a lung transplant is I'm not a candidate for it.
I'm sorry to hear that.
It is what it
I
is.
just love you. I mean, I've known you for
Yeah.
so long, just being a pillar of the community.
Well, thank you.
Being the person who, I don't know if you've won elections that you didn't have anybody running against you. But
I think I had a couple like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I had a couple.
But I've seen you in action. I've seen you campaign.
Yeah, I've had former county commissioners, former president of the city
Yeah.
council, some well-funded, well-financed candidates. Unfortunately,
running against you, and you've proven that you're the guy for the job.
Yeah.
Even though when you first got elected, you're saying I was the least qualified. I don't think you were.
well,
weren't
maybe
you the
not.
president of the
It's student
FGA
government, and so at
at
UWF, I was the finance committee chairman the year before that. We actually had a state budget that you followed all state budget protocols, and student government president in '86 and '87. So I'd had some minor experience, but I've always tried to be very responsive to people and try and help with their
You
needs.
are.
Even if I don't like you, even if I didn't agree with you on things, I've always tried to be considerate, polite, put
Yes.
out the facts and everything.
You
And
have.
so
I've seen that. I've noticed that about you.
yeah, and so that's always, and when people come to me for help, I do my very best to help them. Now, you can't please everybody. That's one
Sure.
thing I found out, but I do my best,
Right.
So
They're all people you can't please. So when I was going to the Citizens Advisory Committees and a lot of people didn't know about the Citizen Advisory Committee meetings. They weren't aware, and that
Yeah.
might have been a good thing because there's one guy that got arrested. I was at an ECUA meeting.
was that the satanic
Yeah.
preacher guy? Yeah. Yeah.
David Sahor.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even want to say his name.
Yeah.
Can we edit that out? But so I happened to be videotaping.
Oh, you did? Oh my goodness. Yeah.
And the security, the police came, and he went limp. He acted like they beat him
Yeah.
up or something, and they dragged him out. But
Yeah.
you could tell that they didn't touch him at all.
Yeah.
And after the meeting, Steve approached me and said, "Were you videotaping that?" Because I guess they didn't have the videotape on the meeting during
Well,
that
and
time.
the thing is, the video's probably shot toward the board members,
Yeah.
not out toward the audience. So.
Yeah. So I was in the audience.
Yeah.
And I videotaped the entire thing, because I was like, this is odd. This
It
is
was
a lot of
crazy.
stuff
It
going
was pretty
on.
crazy. Yeah.
And Steve asked me if I videotaped it, and I said yeah. And he asked if they could have it because they're going to need it in court.
Yeah.
And so, who was the Dutch person? He retired a few years ago. The computer guy. Why can't I think of his name? He and I remained friends. I'm still friends with him now, and I communicate with him all the time. He and his wife. Anyway, we went through the maze to get to his office, and I gave him, my phone, and he put it on his computer, and they used it, and they obviously won the court case.
Yeah.
The guy was not in his right mind.
Yeah.
I don't think. But it's just fun reminiscing about stuff.
Oh yeah. And I always
Because I
liked that
spent
you.
so much time there. At
Yeah, that you were so involved. People can be involved even as citizens. I mean, we have our speaker's lectern is named after a guy named Barry Tweedy who used to come out to the
Yes,
meetings. He
I
was in a
remember him.
wheelchair. He would,
And his daughter would always come in.
Yeah.
He should have been on.
always-
He created his own Citizens Advisory Committee
Yeah.
because he was so up to date on all the facts, and he gave a report every single time.
Yeah, and I think the county commission and had named their speaker's lectern the Gary Sansing thing from him, and I think the city council, Leroy Boyd. So there are a lot of people who have been
Just
active in the community that weren't in elected positions
Right.
that could go and speak and advocate and
Hey, it's
make
we,
their voices
it's
heard.
we the people, right?
That's right.
You don't have to be elected to any position to
That's
make
right.
a difference.
And I wish more people would be involved in government and hold us elected officials accountable and be at the meetings and speak. And it makes a difference. I mean, ECUA is not glamorous and not exciting and not fun in a lot of ways for people. But if I get 3 or 4 people come to the meeting and speak on a topic, I know it's a big deal.
Right.
I
agree with you. It's not glamorous, and a lot of times it's not fun. A lot of times it's a little, sleepy sitting in there listening to the presentations.
It's technical and can be mundane, but it's.
But it is the most important utility. We cannot live or survive without clean water.
Yeah, and getting rid of waste.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both sewage and sanitation. You got to be healthy. Health is one thing I found out is health is more important than anything.
The reason our city thrives is because ECUA is doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
If y'all weren't, if we didn't have y'all doing a great job, if we didn't have clean water and if we didn't have sanitation, what would we be? We'd be like in 1800s.
Like a third world country.
We'd have to live near streams to get our water, and we'd be dumping, in the morning out our windows, and people walking down the street. We don't want to do that. No, but seriously, no. ECUA is by far the most important utility. We can live without electricity.
Yeah.
You could live and thrive without electricity. You just have to go back to pen and paper.
Yeah.
And no cell phones. But can't live without clean water.
That's right.
So thank you for all you've done over the years.
We could survive without Netflix if we had to.
Could we? I don't know. I don't think my dad could. I don't have Netflix, so I'm surviving.
I know. I just kidding.
I know. So, as far as rates are
that's a good thing I want to
and
bring
winter
up.
averaging.
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know.
We've actually had a winter 2 years in a row. Isn't that wild?
where we've had to run the faucets, and I hate that.
Yeah, I ran mine for 4 days straight. I can't wait to see my bill.
Oh my gosh, I'm worried about mine as well. Yeah, so winter averaging is a concept that's been in ECUA for a long time. That we don't want people paying sewer charges when they're washing their cars, watering their lawns, cleaning out the boat, doing all that stuff.
With the hose.
When it's hot, when the stuff's not actually going into the sewer system. So what was devised years ago was a plan where we take our lowest months when there's the lowest water usage and charge your sewer based on that. So some people, like me, I keep my usage way down in the winter as much as I can. Some people I don't do this, but some people have even said in the winter times, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. But I'm not that.
So you're not flushing as often.
Right. So
because your bill is based on your sewage.
So in the wintertime, I'm not out there washing my cars, with the hose, because I want to keep a low sewage bill all year long, because that's the highest part of your bill, Right. And so a lot of people do that, and so that's So
okay, now I'm confused on this. Is the bill based on the outflow or the inflow of water?
The bill is based on the water. No, the water that's pumped out.
Okay, so the water that comes into your house is
there's no way to measure the sewage that comes in.
That goes out of the house.
Right, there's no way to measure that. It'd be a real messy job to try to measure that.
So whenever you use your water hose, you are being charged for that water because you're charged by the water coming in.
And that's how your sewer is estimated too. So that's why we take the absolute lowest months. Okay. So we don't want to be charging people for sewer.
We charge a separate bill for
water and sewer are separate. And the
water.
sewer is a lot more expensive because the water, basically, you have to make sure it's safe, put the chemicals in and pump it. The sewage, you have to treat. Everything that goes in that sewer system has to be treated to nearly drinking water quality when it comes out.
Yep.
So that's real work intensive and very expensive,
And that's what the state-of-the-art water reclamation facility does that we used to have downtown until 2004. Then Hurricane Ivan damaged it. We were on repair, and we got federal funding or state funding to move it. And along with moving it, you have to restructure all the pipes.
Yeah.
You have to have pumps and lift stations.
And the old technology was antiquated at the old plant too. So we're newer technology. And a lot of people, there may be some people old enough to remember it, but we used to actually have an incinerator at the old Main Street plant where we would incinerate the sludge. That would actually, it was a smokestack. It was a big smokestack downtown that
Is
Smoke
that
would
what
come
the
out of it.
smell was coming from, maybe?
Well, that was part of it. That was part of it. Even after they got rid of the incinerator, there was still a lot of smoke from the the hydrogen sulfide gases
Okay.
down there, and the open
Because
tanks
it's
full
open.
of sewage.
Well, it's open up at,
Yeah.
it's still open.
Yeah.
But it's in a place where
Yeah.
it's just,
And
it's
that one up
secluded.
there, I guess because of the newer technology, doesn't smell anything near as bad as what the one
I know.
down here used to smell.
I've been there a few
Yeah.
times. I've never smelled anything.
Yeah.
Never even thought about it.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe I just forgot. I have no idea. But I don't want to make stuff up.
The other thing is rates that you brought up. So it's always a real challenge. We want to have the best water we can have, the best sewage capabilities we can have, the newest pipes, never have a break or anything like that, everything to be perfect all the time. But that costs a ton of money. So we have to balance, the integrity of the system, the physical, functioning and operation of the system against, what it costs to pay for that. And people, want to balance. I mean, do you want to be driving and paying for a Tesla or driving and paying for a Buick or a Toyota Camry,
Right.
And so, we want something dependable and reliable, but not over the top expensive for the ratepayers. There's always a fine balance there because there's always political pressure to keep the rates as low as possible.
Right.
And you have to balance that against, making sure the system can function properly.
So, when I was on the Citizens Advisory Committee, I didn't understand the budget. There's so much on the budget, and so my biggest question always for any budget, any and every budget, is what's on here that's not needed?
Yeah.
What are we spending money on that really isn't necessary?
Yeah.
And I'm probably not the one. I would never be on a Doge committee because I'm not the one to read the budget and figure it out. But I know there's things on there. I know there's things on there that aren't needed that the ratepayers are paying for.
Yeah, and
There has to be.
Yeah, we look at it every year and try and winnow things down in the budget process. I mean, our staff is is pretty good about not excuse me putting too much frilly stuff on there because they know that us and the citizens look at it. But part of the things the citizens can do is hire people that are elect people that are fiscally conservative.
Yes.
That will keep an eye on it.
Keep an eye on
and
it.
try and cut it down.
Butch Hansen is a good guy. He knows about budgets.
Yeah.
I wish he would be more involved. And
Well, I don't know if he lives in District 4, but if he does, there's an opportunity
I'm
open.
going to give him a call.
Yeah.
I don't know where he lives. What about Citizens Advisory Committee positions? When is the appointment and the nomination open for that? Is it every November?
Yeah. So every November, every year, we have what's called an organizational board meeting.
I've been to them.
Yeah, and at that board meeting, we elect our chairman or vice chairman,
Right.
the Citizens Advisory Committee chair and vice chair, and our Citizens Advisory Committee members. And so, when someone's interested, and you can go to the ECUA website and it's got this on there, but it's a good idea to apply, around August, September, to get your name in the hat, October, I would say kind of at the latest. And then all you basically do is submit a resume to ECUA, maybe even a letter, if you want, and then they submit that to the board members, and then the board members vote on it. Board members can't talk about it among each other. Citizens Advisory Council members cannot talk about it among each other. And so...
I'd like to do it again.
Yeah, well, you ought to apply. Yeah, you're good at it. You always did a great job when you were there. You've got lots of experience,
I just enjoy it. I like being active and I like doing something positive for the community, and I think that my input, I voted no on the fluoride, on renewing the contract to buy it from the supplier.
Yeah.
And I got some looks.
Well, that's fine. We vote our conscience, that's what we're there for.
Yeah.
I mean,
Because I wished that I could have called all of y'all and told you why I didn't want fluoride in the water.
Yeah.
I didn't give I should have said it there at the meeting, but I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't give my grand speech.
Well, the Sunshine Law, is good in some ways and inconvenient in others. I mean, the legislature mandates it on every other branch of government except themselves. I mean, they don't operate.
It said
under
they
the
can't
Sunshine
do backroom fraudulent deals.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But when you're talking about important stuff, you need
Yeah.
to iron things out sometimes. And sometimes you can't do it. When I was at the Citizens Advisory Committee meetings, it's not an intimate setting. You know, you're up on the stage.
Robert's Rules of Order is very formal. You have to follow protocol.
Yeah. But like you and I sitting here, we can talk about anything we want to, you know, and we can iron things out, and we can explain our point of view going back and forth. It's different when you're sitting up there.
Yeah. But if you were on the Citizens Advisory Committee now, we couldn't even do this interview.
Right.
You know,
oh, I know.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've interviewed everybody on the board.
But there are, you know,
Except Larry Williams.
Yeah, there are, and it does serve a point, you know, keep from the backroom deals and everything. When I ran for the board, that was some of the stuff that they were talking about was going on, you know, and so it was good to have, you know, new people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I just wish, I think we should do away with the sunshine law.
Well, yeah, there's certain parts of it that, yeah. Well.
So you have done an excellent, I mean, obviously your career talks for itself. What did you do prior to being on the ECUA board? What was your job? Well, what's your full-time job?
Well.
And what did you do? What brought you to?
Well, at that time, I had worked at a wilderness camp for troubled kids. I was a family, I was called a wilderness camp counselor teacher, and did that for 4 years. And then I got a master's in political campaign management, and was running a political campaign in Chicago area. Really cold winter of 1993. The senator I was working for, I was contractually committed through March, and it was freezing cold up there. It was like 8 degrees, and it hadn't seen the sun in a couple of weeks. And I thought, man, I'm going back to Florida where it's warm. And I talked to Dr. Larry Walker at the time, who said there was a lot of strife on the board and they needed somebody decent to run for it. So I decided I would. I came back here, was here for a while, and decided to go ahead and run for the board. Fortunately, was elected. You know, and even though I've been on the ECUA, I have worked as what's called a military and family life counselor. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, so help people, you know, military families with problems they encounter. And I've done that in schools, mostly in Santa Rosa County. And I've worked as a charter boat fishing captain for years, since 1997. So.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. I always enjoy being around you, talking to you. I enjoyed it every time I went to the Citizens Advisory Committee or ECUA meetings for those 4 or 5 years. I enjoyed being around you, and I enjoy your input. Like, I learn from you, and you have a lot of input the way you speak. It's great.
It's always been a pleasure seeing you there. Always smiling and providing. You have a lot of good input too. It's always been good to hear your input.
I appreciate that. It's been great. We'll have to do it again. So, the Thornton Review is on the air to provide public service awareness and intellectual infrastructure to our community. The show is made possible by Ida Gates Godly Teas LLC, Alpha Fence Company, Larry Downs Jr. Plumbing, and our guest, Dale Perkins, ECUA District 4. That's the Emerald Coast Utilities Authority, the most important utility around. So, and we want to thank you for watching this episode of the Thornton Review. Bye-bye.